In August 1973, the Smurl family moved into a modest duplex in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. Janet later said the first signs were small cold spots, lights flickering on and off without cause. Shadows seemed to shift when no one was looking, The dog was also thrown into walls multiple times out of nowhere, and he woke up to Janet screaming, and he saw an entity crawling on top of his wife's leg. When they visited the house, as soon as she walked in, Lorraine claimed that she sensed that there was 4 entities in this house. She said it wasn't a ghost, it was a demon. Priest performed a sanctioned exorcism inside the home. He claimed the spiritual presence resisted, but by the third rite, the atmosphere changed. Let's bring crack back.
Well, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
What's going on? What's going on? Late night family. We back in the building. Coming to bring you another exciting episode of Late Night Conversations with Unc and Nephew. I am your host, King J, also known as Nephew. And to my left is my co-host,
JR, Big Unc.
What's going on, Big Unc?
Same old, same old.
How you feeling today, man?
A lot better, man.
I know you've been moving around a lot more, driving and stuff.
Driving, my knees.
Are you back
better.
in business?
I'm ready to go back to work, but doctor won't allow that. But yeah, it's good, man.
That's what's up, man. That's good.
Therapy helps out a lot.
That's what's up, man. Yeah. I'm so glad to see you moving around, dog, because I know it sucks. Like, whenever I had my surgery, I couldn't drive or move around for good 2 weeks.
I was like, I don't want to say I was in my feelings, but I was in my thoughts, deep thoughts. Negativity, dog.
Yeah,
especially when nobody's home, you're just there. It's dark and you're watching Queen of the South, trying to make some money. Maybe I should make some money,
He said maybe I should start selling some cocaine. Goddamn, man.
Yeah.
Let's bring crack back, man.
Well, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
But man, we got an exciting episode planned for tonight, man.
All right.
I hadn't seen you all week. Well, I saw you on Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, yeah.
But other than that, man, I've been doing yard work and stuff like that.
Right, I've seen it.
Dude, I've been doing a lot of research this week on what I want to talk about. When I finally landed on what I want to talk about, I got excited because you know how I feel about the paranormal.
Right.
So, man, before we jump into today's episode, just for y'all, this episode today is going to be a paranormal episode. And it's also going to be in honor of the new Conjuring movie. The trailer just got released.
September 5th.
It's going to be out September 5th.
Yeah.
Bro, y'all go and see this, man. If y'all love horror movies, I love horror movies. You like horror
The Conjuring,
movies.
dude.
The Conjuring series.
It's more of a true...
It's like based on true events.
Yeah.
And it's also... To be honest, a lot of horror movie buffs will say that the Conjuring series revamped the horror franchise. Because for a long time, bro,
there's a lot of movies out now that are out there that are more horror.
Yeah.
Dude. Because there for a while was a lot of gruesome.
Yeah, like gore, and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, for a long time, bro, if you ask anybody who's really into horror movies, the horror movie franchise was like on a decline a little bit.
Right.
Or maybe not a decline, but like a... It just hit like a plateau.
Right.
Where it was just, they were okay. They weren't that
It
good.
wasn't nothing spectacular.
Yeah. But when The Conjuring dropped in 2013, it changed the game, bro.
Dude.
Today's episode is going to be on one of the cases that is on the new Conjuring movies from the Smurl family. So before we jump into today's episode, I do want to say thank y'all so much for all y'all support.
Right.
As always, wherever y'all watching y'all's podcast from, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from, if y'all just give us a like, give us a follow. If you enjoy the content, man, we really appreciate it. We work really hard on this content, and we hope you enjoy it. If you're watching on YouTube, man, hit the subscribe button and punch that bell in the face so you get notified every time we drop a video, and that is every Friday at 8 a.m. In August 1973, the Smurl family moved into a modest duplex in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. They were like many working class families, quiet, private, and very close-knit. But just a few months into their new life, the house on Chase Street began to change. A leaky pipe, scratched walls, whispers when no one was around. Over the next 15 years, the Smurl family would claim to be tormented by violent spirits.
It's a long time.
An experience that brought in the Catholic Church, a team of renowned demonologists, and an exorcist sanctioned by the Vatican. This is the haunting of the Smurl family. And tonight, we investigate the haunting and ask, was this truly the work of a demonic force or something far more human? So, Jack and Janet Smurl moved into 328 Chase Street in August of 1973 with Jack's elderly parents and their young daughters, Dawn, Heather, and their twins, Shannon and Carol.
All right.
So, this story is crazy because sometimes it's referred to as the Nightmare on Chase Street.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call this the Nightmare on Chase Street because this is one of the most prolific.
And it was just that one house. And they were there for 15 years?
Dude, they sat through it for 15 years, dog.
I don't know if I could just say it one day. But anyways.
Yeah, so, man, they moved into this house. It was a large two-family duplex. So, basically, the house was split. It wasn't like a true duplex where it's like a door, like houses split down the middle. Right. So, this kind of had two halves of a house on each side. Right. So, it was a large home. It was far from perfect. It had a lot of water damage from Hurricane Agnes, and it needed a lot of renovation, but it was affordable, and it was a fresh start for this family.
Right.
And this fresh start quickly faded. Janet later said the first signs were small cold spots in the kitchen, lights flickering on and off without cause, tools would be vanishing from their spots and reappearing in strange places. Shadows seem to shift when no one was looking. Right. You ever seen shadows? I mean, like we've talked about shadow people from your peripheral.
Yeah.
You see something like a shadow in the corner, and when you look, it shifts somewhere else. Or, man. At first, they blamed old wiring for some of the stuff that was going on. Right. The lights flickering on and off. But then some weird stuff started happening. Stains started appearing in walls. Okay. On different parts of the house.
Like burn stains, or
weird, ugly stains. Right. And so they would paint over them. Maybe they're thinking maybe it's water damage. Right. Or I don't know.
Seeping through.
So they're just painting over it, and they would reappear again in the same spots. Stains were just forming, almost like blood on the walls. Right. Just forming and forming. So they paint over them. They keep reappearing over and over again. Drafty windows. The whole family started experiencing some type of fatigue. Like, every time they were home, there was just a depressing feeling about the house. Right. And so, man, it was crazy. Over the next decade, the events only escalated. So, the activity started to grow, and by the early 1980s, the Smurls had claimed the disturbances had turned aggressive. Loud pounding sounds echoed through the house at night in threes. And this is the crazy thing, because if you are a fan of Ed and Lorraine Warren or the Conjuring series, if you realize in the first Conjuring, they talk about the 3 stages of demonic possession in a house or people. Exactly. And you know that demons or entities like to do things in threes because it's a mock of the Trinity of Christ, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Right. So they do things in threes. Yes. And so, there'd be loud pounding sounds in threes, often waking up all 6 members of the household. Water pipes were bursting for no reason. Appliances were bursting into flames even when they weren't plugged into any outlet.
Like a stove, like a toaster or
something, just bursting into flames, crazy, not even plugged in, And, it was just starting to escalate, man. Then they started seeing unseen hands were scratching walls and pulling hair as you're walking in the rooms. Oh, man. Even more terrifying were the physical attacks.
And I was going to ask you, was it physical? Because, you said it escalated within 10 years, so...
Yes, dog. So, it did escalate, and it started becoming physical. So, let me scroll down a little bit. Janet was reportedly grabbed and shoved down the stairs. There was an instance where Jack said he was sexually assaulted by a non-visible entity multiple times while he was in bed. Right. And then not to be weird, but
it's not weird.
In my mind, I was thinking, how bad is that though?
come on, man. I mean,
nah, I'm just playing. You know, if it's a woman goes, man, you know what I'm saying?
It don't
make it better.
You know? No.
It don't make it better.
No, I mean, when you can't see what's hitting you, you know what I'm saying?
Damn. Well, I guess it depends what kind of assault you're getting.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
now if it's something messing with your backside, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's the only
assault
assault I would think. Other than that, it's joyful, you know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Oh, that's sorry, man. I don't even. Nah, I'm just playing, man. But yeah, man. It said that he was actually sexually assaulted, man, multiple times. One of their daughters claimed that she was dragged from her bed by her ankles, and the family dog, dude, was barking endlessly at corners of the house where no one was standing. The dog was also thrown into walls multiple times out of nowhere. Oh, yeah. And then here was a weird thing. They said they even reported that the dog would teleport outside all the time. Like it would be in the house and then out of nowhere it would just be outside.
What?
Like trying to get back in the house. So whatever was in that house kept moving the dog outside. Wow. Is what they were reporting. Then this is where it gets even crazier, man. The family daughters started hearing, well actually Janet would start to hear, hold on, let me go back. So then came imposters. And I got a theory behind this.
Imposters, like?
So Janet was the first to start seeing imposters or hearing imposters. Janet would hear other people in the house like calling her name.
Right.
And when she would go look, there would be nobody there.
So she would recognize the voice and just...
Yeah, it would be like one of her daughters.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Calling her into the room.
Right.
And she would show up and nobody would be there. You know, and actually the daughters too, man. The daughters, they started to hear their sister calling them, or sometimes they reported that they would hear their sisters yelling and fighting, yelling ugly curses to each other, like real ugly. And when they would go to the room, nobody would be there.
See, that's the worst.
One time, Jack was asleep with Janet, and he woke up to Janet screaming, and he saw an entity crawling on top of his wife's leg up to her body. And that was another incident that he had reported, man. And one time they were getting one of their daughters ready for her confirmation because this family was a Catholic believing family.
Confirmation, yeah.
And so they were getting their daughter ready for confirmation at church. And this is one of in the trailer, if you watch the Conjuring Last Rites, there's a scene where this happens. So they took this scene from this incident. So they were getting their daughter ready for a confirmation, and a light from the ceiling broke off. Okay. From the ceiling, right, like a swung fixture, and busted her in the face.
Janet or the daughter?
The daughter. Oh. And it sliced her face right before her confirmation. Wow. Oh. Yeah, dude.
Like and to prevent, like.
I don't know if it was to trying to prevent her from going or it was just, dude, it was starting to get super aggressive. Well, now, bro, it's hurting the family.
When it's like that, it's time to move out.
You feel me? But here's the problem, Monk. If you watch on the first Conjuring, Ed Warren says sometimes when you're dealing with demonic possession of a house or whatever, it's like stepping in gum. Wherever you go, you take it with you. Right. Because sometimes it latches onto you and it starts feeding off the family.
Yeah.
And a little bit to back up before I continue, because I wanted to speak about something before I continue. Earlier, when I was talking about the imposters.
Imposter, right.
You know, there's a term for this. If you dig into like paranormal stuff, it's called a mimic.
Well, yeah, mimic is they sound like.
They sound like somebody you know or yourself. Yeah, they're able to mimic you, to draw you somewhere.
That's insane, dude. And I was thinking more of imposter where they were like
seeing themselves.
Changing,
yeah. No, it was mimicking their voice. And, dude, that's crazy. Have you ever experienced anything like that? Because I have. There's been times that I've heard people call my name, like my mom or something.
Yeah, but not in an ugly way.
Right.
Maybe it's something that just you thought you heard it.
You thought you heard it. Now, one time I heard my mom call me. Yeah. And I ran to the living room like, "What, Mom?" Like, wait, I'm home by myself. What the hell?
Oh shit.
Yeah, waited outside. Yep, I'm going outside.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced a lot of things too, but I think I have a couple of times, heard voices and stuff, man. But nothing like crazy. Nothing that's gonna make your hairs,
stand up.
Once you start feeling those hairs stand up in the back of your neck, it's over, man.
Yeah, you know something's going on.
Yeah, something.
So I just wanted to bring that up because and to me that's demonic activity, man. They start mimicking because they're trying to draw you by yourself.
They want you to come in.
Yeah, they want to draw you to them. So of course, dog. After that whole incident where she got that glass busted on her face, they're sleeping with the lights on, bro. They're terrified of this house, but I mean, like in most cases, they don't have nowhere to go.
And that's what I was going to say. 73 was a different time,
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's
73 to 85 was a different time.
You're like, what do you do? You know what I mean? So, things are going on for a while. Well, in 1986, desperate and afraid, the Smurls reached out to the Catholic Church, but they wanted more evidence.
Right. So, I've heard that about the Catholic Church.
They
want so much.
Yeah, you have to have compelling evidence before they either do an exorcism.
Well, I mean, that's one of the final things that they'll do, but it's got to be, I guess, verified through like a cardinal or somebody.
Yeah, it's got to. Yeah, there's like a process.
Right.
So what they did was they reached out to the only people that could possibly help them, and that was Ed and Lorraine Warren,
right,
from The Conjuring. So they reached out to Ed and Lorraine, well-known paranormal investigators, and they were, of course, most famous for their work on the Amityville Horror House. Right. Lorraine, she was a clairvoyant, so she was able to see ghosts and stuff like that. And when they visited the house, as soon as she walked in, Lorraine claimed that she sensed that there was 4 entities in this house.
4?
She said it was a benign elderly woman, it was a young girl, a violent man who died in a violent way in that house, and something else that was inhuman. And there's an interview where she said it wasn't a ghost, it was a demon.
Okay.
Lorraine later said it was trying to tear that family apart. The Warrens documented, they started doing their investigations, they documented cold spots. Man, they
because they're the originals that had technology.
They were the first paranormal investigators.
Because there was no because this family couldn't Google what's going on. What I do about this.
What do you do? There's no books on it.
So I can understand why they wouldn't leave. No, I can't understand why they wouldn't leave. Because there's no research for them to do.
Yeah, like what do you do in the 70s when you have ghosts in your house? Like, what do you do?
At the same time, you don't know if they're going to follow you or not.
And then of course, bro, like when you buy a house, you can't just leave it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're paying on it.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing you can do, especially if this family is going through a financial time or whatever.
Right.
What can you do?
Yeah, we don't know much about them besides what's going on with the demonic entities.
Exactly.
And stuff.
So it's like, what can you do? And Ed and Lorraine Warren are known as the very first pioneers of paranormal investigating with cameras.
Right.
They're the ones who started off like you see today, Ghost Adventures.
Right. You see it all the time on
you see these ghost hunters with the cameras, the tape recorders,
sensors. Like they can sense the when they walk by or whatever, the cold or the heat.
Exactly, bro. And they were the first ones because in The Conjuring, you see them set up cameras, you see them set up these temperature gauges and stuff like that. UV lights they were using to track footprints.
Right.
They were pioneers of that, man. And so they started doing their investigations. They documented cold spots, unexplained sounds, and dark shadows moving across from rooms. They believed that the house was spiritually infested, and over the following months, they brought in various priests to perform blessings, but each time, the activity intensified.
Got worse. After the cleansing, it got worse.
Yes. So not everyone believed the haunting was supernatural. Paul Kurtz, which was a philosophy professor and the founder of the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims and the Paranormal, proposed a more earthly explanation, which is group delusion. Is what he was saying.
But they weren't taking drugs,
Well, this is what his explanation was. He cited family stress, isolation, and religious influence as potential factors, suggesting that the family may have believed that they were experiencing attacks, even if nothing supernatural was occurring.
I can understand that. When you, like we talked about a while ago, when you get into your thoughts, a lot of things can happen. But when you have physical
things
bruising,
exactly.
Cuts.
How do you explain that?
How do you explain that?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Other psychologists pointed to sleep paralysis, hallucinations, and repressed trauma as potential causes, but the Smurls stood by the story and said they never sought publicity. In fact, Jack and Janet were hesitant to go public at all. So they didn't
want to help from nobody.
They didn't want to go public, man, because it's like they don't know what they're dealing with, and then they also, I'm assuming, bro, back in the 70s, times were more. You didn't want to be in the spotlight for something like that, right? Because you didn't want,
because then you're being outcast.
Now you're being labeled as kooks, crazy, right? You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to go out there with a story like, "Oh, there's a ghost in my house."
Right?
Like, who's gonna believe that back in the 70s? You know what I mean? So the Smurls contacted the Catholic Church for months. Various priests blessed the house and offered prayers, but no formal exorcism was approved until 1988. Father Robert McKenna, a traditionalist Catholic priest, performed a sanctioned exorcism inside the home. He claimed the spiritual presence resisted, but by the third rite, the atmosphere changed. The walls seemed lighter, he said. The heaviness lifted, and after that, the activity slowly stopped.
Okay.
The family moved in 1989, and the house's new owners to this day haven't reported any supernatural disturbances. In 1988, though, author Robert Curran had published The Haunted, which was a detailed account of the Smurl haunting. With the Warrens and the family's cooperation, in 1991, the story was adapted into a made-for-TV movie starring Jeffrey DeMoon and Sally Kirkland.
Called The Haunting?
Called The Haunting.
I don't remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, or The Haunted. It was called The Haunted.
Haunted.
Yeah, so critics dismissed this story, as a hoax.
Right.
And, of course, it's made for a TV movie, so now it's like
somebody
now they're trying to live off
story,
of it.
right.
Exactly. But the Smurls never retracted a word they've ever said. Jack passed away in 2017, Janet in 2014. Until the end of their lives, they insisted something tormented them in that house, something they could not explain, something that didn't want to leave.
So that exorcism was on the third rite was intense.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, not like what we've seen.
I'm assuming you're gonna see it.
The power of Christ compels you.
Yeah,
this was something much more.
This was a fight, inside that house, bro. And I'm sure, of course, when The Conjuring comes out, we're gonna go see it,
right?
And we'll see what it's about.
What pictures of crosses?
What it could have looked, because they said that was a big thing in that house. In the movie The Conjuring, they talk about. That's one way to piss off demons, to put crucifix around and stuff. Usually you can tell if it's demonic if they start flipping them upside down or knocking them off the walls.
Right.
That's just kind of like a way that them to,
So, hey, this is more than just accidental or coincidental.
So what really happened at 328 Chase Street? Was it a hoax fed by media and fear? Or a misunderstood case of psychological trauma? Or did a Pennsylvania family truly live with something inhumane for over a decade? In the end, we may never know, but if you ask the Smurls, they'll tell you the truth is something most of us never hope to meet.
I can imagine, yeah. I mean, we kind of like get freaked out when we just hear something,
just in the room, yeah.
But to actually witness and see pictures catching on fire or crosses, crucifixions
just
turning upside down,
or flying off the walls, dog,
or you getting ready and then a light fixture hits you in the face,
Dog, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? That's
like just laying in bed. Imagine just laying in bed, getting your feet pulled off the bed, like when something that
if you feel
can't
like
see,
something pull you, that's fine. But when they drag you,
that's the thing,
off the bed, you know what I'm saying?
Something dragging something as heavy as us.
Yeah,
and you can't see nothing, dog.
Or being like I said, walking by nothing, and then your hair being pulled back, or
dude,
as the father being sexually assaulted. Yeah,
that is crazy, bro. Like you got to think, and that's what leads me into something I want to talk about on, because I had a change of idea the other day while I was at work talking ghost stories with some of my friends, some of my coworkers, man. I had a thought in my head, more like a theory, I guess.
Okay.
So we always said, I believe in ghosts. I believe that, sometimes there's people that are stuck maybe in limbo
because something happened that
maybe they died so tragically that their life wasn't done yet, or maybe they don't know they're dead, or, and because they're like, oh, that's there's a difference between a friendly ghost and a demonic entity or whatever.
Right.
But now I'm thinking, what if there is no such thing as ghosts? And maybe it's all demons.
Okay. I can see that.
Could that be a possibility?
Why would a demon be more demonic than another one?
Well, it's not about being more demonic. I just think maybe there's a different purpose for each one. I don't know. Or maybe...
I mean, I don't think a demon is there to...
Because in actuality, I've never heard of a ghost story where somebody wasn't... Like, I've never heard of like, oh, that ghost is friendly over there. Like,
right.
I've never heard that before.
That's cartoonish or whatever.
A lot of times, things like that incite fear. And I think that's what demons feed off of, is fear.
Right. The more scared you are, the more
power
they get, yeah.
Because that's even the concept in The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Freddy only gets stronger as the more he gets feared.
Right.
The more kids that fear him.
The more kids and the more you try to fight your sleep in the movie, of course. You know.
Of course. He gets stronger and stronger off of fear.
Right.
And to me, that's a demonic principle, man. They fear, because what does the Bible tell you? The Bible says, dude, it's crazy. The Bible actually says, do not fear.
Right.
365 times.
Right.
That's one for every day.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things that God always says. Matter of fact, that's in so many things in the Bible. When angels appear, do not be afraid. Do not fear.
Right.
He always is stressing to not be afraid, to do not have fear. So what do you think Satan's job is? To instill fear.
Instill fear, yeah. I mean.
So to me, it's like, damn, every ghost story I've ever heard, they're like, man, I was scared of that, or it was trying to maybe just scare me. Why?
Yeah, but because we're not accustomed to something like that. You know, yeah, you see some things like, oh, that scared me a little bit, but nothing major, right?
Right.
But when you witness something that's truly evil or demonic, where it puts real fear in you.
Yeah, man.
Can you imagine being so afraid you don't know what to do?
That's crazy, dog.
You know, I mean, we've already talked about sleep paralysis, but that's not the same. Or is it? Are we in sleep paralysis during waking hours, where we get scared so much that
I've heard of that before.
Our mind can't process it fast enough, or
I've heard of that before, that you be in such a fear or a panic that you just freeze. You know what I mean? I've heard of that before.
Is it just mental that you're like, your mind can't click or comprehend
like
what you're seeing or what
fear.
you're feeling because of how scared you are? You know, and I'm saying like as demonic, not like as, you know, like a rapist or a murder, when you know that, or, you know, like the cartel, you know, where these guys are sitting there and they know they're fixing to die.
Right. Not that kind of fear, but like the fear of something of the unknown, bro. That is what gets me, like with this case,
the fear of the
Smurl
unknown
family. Apparently, this is one of the, according to the movie, it's saying this is one of Ed and Lorraine's last cases that they took, and it was one of the ones that did the most damage to them. Like, it really affected them.
Well, it affected them, yeah, because
bad.
I mean, even them themselves are trying to be strong for these people.
Yeah, because they're just trying to help them.
They're still witnessing something that is truly, truly non-human.
Yeah, you know? Man. and those are the things that they talk about in this, you know, in this case, is like, you know, that the fact that they're able to actually hurt you, man, scratch your body,
that
you know,
that too.
Pull your hair, grab your feet, like it's breaking stuff in the house, reappearing stuff, slamming the dog against the wall, bro. That's
what's
crazy.
The dog got to do with it?
Damn, I'm sorry, dog, just chilling. Bark.
Yeah, that would be insane, dude.
I just like, what did the dog do?
Right.
I bet he'd be like, what did I do? Like, have you ever seen that on TikTok? No. What did I do?
No, but I do see a lot of dogs where they put the mimic voice, whatever. Yeah, but no, dude, that's just, I've never witnessed something that demonic.
And
you know.
You know what? You have, though, to be honest. So there's a instance in this movie, not only this movie, because in this case it talks about that everywhere that there was a presence moving throughout the house, shadow, there was always a smell of rotting meat or sulfur.
Yeah, I've heard of sulfur. Or
they always say when there's demonic entities present that you can smell rotting flesh or
it's
sulfur.
so cold.
Yeah. The temperature drops or whatever. And you experienced that in the house that you lived in.
Oh, the one on Southeast Alpine.
Yeah. You had that smell of sulfur in the room.
And my dog went
like rotten eggs.
Yeah, man.
That's what they say when demonic presences are like present.
Right.
When there's demonic entities present,
right.
You can smell the smell of like rotten eggs or sulfur
right. But was it just my family? Because there's so many people that have lived in that house.
Dog, I've heard of stories that even after we moved out of that house,
right.
or Momo and Pomo moved out,
right.
that there's been families that have lived there that have moved out.
Right.
There's still, to me, something is up with that house.
I mean, because where it's built, that whole area of Plainview, is it an old Indian burial ground?
That's what I would think. Or maybe something about that block, man. Or it could even be something as simple as something demonic happened in that house. Maybe somebody who owned it at one point. Look how much stuff has happened
in that block. Remember I told you when we were kids, my cousin had witnessed some stuff, and then that murder that happened down the street.
Yeah, a guy killed his wife.
Killed his wife.
Somebody committed suicide in one of the houses.
Man, it's just
you got to think, bro, and that's part of Satan's
that's
plan.
Something we need to look into it and research Southeast Alpine Plainview, Texas.
Like that block. I want to see what that block used to be back in the old days. Back in the 1900s.
Or the 1800s. I think we just hit our 100-year mark not too long ago, so we're born in Plainview was made in the 1800s, late 1800s.
Yeah, like 1880s or something like that. I wonder, man. I mean, if you go to the museum, you see that we have
as a matter of fact,
arrowheads.
I've got a book. Yeah, I used to find them before the caliche pits were filled in.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, of course, Indians roam through,
Texas.
They roam through this area. So you got to think, man, what could this land be on? That's what makes me wonder about my job, the stuff I see at work.
Yeah,
and that's why that's why I always say, like, that's why I say with the demonic entities or whatever, they're just trying to instill fear into us because. Maybe us, because we have a belief in God, or because they thrive on people who are skeptics,
non-believers, or
they thrive
whether they don't believe in God or in nothing, and they're like, we just live in life.
Yeah.
Then something like this
starts happening.
So now you got to believe in something. You got to turn to something.
Exactly.
I don't say something. We'll turn to God.
But you got to think, bro. I mean, there's people who are skeptic about this case, but then there's people who have experienced stuff like this.
So do you think they were like, is God doing this to us?
No, that wasn't even a question.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying other people. Let's say,
right.
Maybe God's punishing me and is instilling fear, which we know God is not that type of God.
Yeah. I don't think people think like that. But what I do think is that there's people who, of course, try to rationalize what happens to them.
Well, everybody rationalizes that
was just leaking pipe. And of course, in this case, there's been skeptics who have said, well, it's just family isolation, it's leaky pipes, it's, this and this. And matter of fact, bro, Ed and Lorraine Warren, not only were they paranormal investigators, but they would go to people's house and rule out supernatural occurrences. Like, they would go and be like, well, in the first Conjuring movie, he does it. There's an example. They go to a house and he's all like, oh yeah, your radiator's just making the pipes swell up, and the pipes that makes the wood creak. And
there's some things that can be reasoned or
exactly. But once it becomes physical, then and that's why I don't believe ghosts, because I don't think ghosts can harm you. Is what I was getting at.
That's what we are taught. But unless we experience it, is a ghost not a demon to you in your eyes?
But see, that's why I don't believe ghosts exist anymore. Maybe. Now I'm on the fence about ghosts, and now I just think, because the Bible says that there's spiritual principalities and evils in this world that are always lurking. So I believe that when you die, you either go two places. You know what I mean? You're either going heaven or hell. It doesn't say you get stuck in the in-between.
Right. Well, Catholics do.
Well, Catholics say you go into a resting state until the day of judgment.
What's called purgatory.
Yeah, you go into purgatory.
Till judgment
But
day.
they say you're asleep.
Right.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, please tell me.
Yeah.
But I believe Catholics believe that you go into a slumber until the day of judgment, and then you rise out. You rise up, right?
Okay, it makes sense.
I think that's.
It makes
if
sense.
I'm mistaken, please forgive me. I'm not a Catholic expert, but
Right.
from what what I understand, they believe you go into like some sort of sleep until the day of judgment, and then you rise and he judges everybody's soul.
So you're not being harmed in purgatory. You're just waiting.
Like, I don't think you're even up. Like, I think you're asleep, and then your body rises on the day of judgment, kind of like how Jesus rose on the third day or whatever. But all that to say, that's why I don't think. I don't think you can stay as a ghost. I just think demons imitate humans, and that's why I believe, man, maybe ghosts aren't real, dog. Maybe they're just all demons lurking in the shadows, trying to instill fear and trying to harm, people, man. Because their biggest thing is to make you either don't believe that they're real or doubt God.
Okay, now check this out. But isn't there been instances where a ghost has informed you to get out the house or something before it catches fire? Or...
I mean, I'm sure there is instances where.
So are they demons that are say, hey, you know what? I don't want you to die right now. Get out this house. Whatever deal.
But could that be the Holy Ghost?
Dude, see?
It could be.
I mean,
maybe that's the instance where the Holy Ghost comes in.
Says,
like,
you know what? Hey, your time's not up yet.
Like the
you
case,
need to get out.
Like the case we did with Mariko, the headless ghost and stuff like that.
Yeah, Japan or yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, like I said, I'm just saying it's a theory I'm throwing out there. Could it be?
We need to research more into it if we're going to talk about this, or we have more intel. But I mean,
it's just a conversation.
It's just conversation, of what we theorize.
Think. Yeah, we think. You know what I mean? We don't got to be experts. We can just kind of
we just have somebody talking about a movie that's coming out that we really want to go see because it's based on. Who does not want to go see a movie based on true events?
I do. My girl don't. My wife keeps telling me all the time, I'm not. She don't watch nothing. I watched The Conjuring last night, and she went to the room and didn't come out.
Wow.
And she's like, I already told you about watching movies.
And for sure, your mom won't watch that either. I already know she won't.
Hell no.
I know Brandy will, my daughter.
Nah, they'll watch them, bro.
Jada will watch it.
And it's crazy because I think, to me, man, and I think we've talked about this before, I don't believe that just by watching a scary movie that you're not inviting spirits in.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment, man. It's the same way in as, I mean, because if that is the theory that you're using, that, if you're watching a scary movie, you're allowing demons into your life. Okay, well, when you go watch movies about adultery. How is that not like you go watch 50 Shades of Grey?
Right.
Then and then you're watching movies like some of these Tyler Perry movies where women are cheating on their men or whatever the case may be. You're inviting adultery.
Yeah, you're inviting
you can't pick and choose.
Sexual, pornography. You and your wife are watching pornography, and all of a sudden you become, what is that? A swinger? No, but you're inviting something.
Pornography, I kind of have a little. Yeah, you shouldn't be watching pornography.
I'm not saying I'm watching. I'm saying couples that watch. Couples that watch movies together, whether it's pornography,
like you're talking about, like 50
packed,
Shades of Grey or stuff like. And I keep using that as an example because there's other shows,
right?
But that's what I'm getting at, huh? You can't just pick and choose. If you're saying that because I watch horror movies about demons,
that's what everybody does is pick and choose. Well, I'm Christian, so I don't want to smoke. Or I'm Christian, or I don't want to drink. But you're undercover drinker. You're undercover smoker.
All right, but you're a liar. No sin is greater than the other. Like you lie to your boss. Yeah. Why was you late? Oh, this and that. You just got up late.
Be honest, I woke up late.
But but that's what I'm saying. You got to use the same reason. Like, okay, you enjoy watching movies about selling drugs or whatever, but that's not gonna make you become a drug dealer, right? Like I watch Snowfall now. Yeah. I'm gonna become a crack king now.
I watched Queen of the South, which is awesome to me, but I mean, I'm not gonna go out and become a cartel head of the cartel. You know what I'm saying? Or start my own cartel.
Exactly.
So why am I gonna watch a demonic movie and invite them in, knowing that I'm in being entertained because that's not hilarious, but that puts a different perspective of your mind. You know. You've got to. Your mind has to constantly be thinking of things, man. When you're watching rom-coms, I love rom. I know my man.
You love rom-coms.
I love rom. Me and my daughters can watch it all the time. You know. But
I mean, think about
I'm not stuck on that. I'm action packed. You know, I'm also horror.
Yeah, but think about it, Unc. Like even the movies that my mom loves, or you know, a lot of women love. Right. The one with Jennifer Lopez, the Wedding Planner.
The Wedding Planner, which is
she's planning this woman wedding, and she took the husband away from the wife.
Right.
That's adultery.
Yeah, that is adultery. Okay, for both.
But that's what I'm saying. Just because you watch that movie don't mean you're gonna commit adultery.
Exactly.
That's what I'm boiling it down to, man. I don't believe that because you watch movies you're inviting demonic spirits. Right. I don't. That's why I don't believe that concept.
You know, you're watching it, you go home and you talk about it like that. That was scary. That's it, and you're done.
And you forget about it. Now sometimes you do leave shaking up because I ain't gonna lie. When we watch The Forest,
oh yeah, dude. I mean,
it left us a little shaken up.
Oh yeah, like,
man. Kind of look in the rearview mirror like,
yeah, because that, you know.
But then you forget about it. You feel me?
I'll watch it again right now, you know, and not think about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, so.
But yeah, this case was so interesting to me, man, because I put myself in their shoes. Like, could you imagine just being in a house where you're getting punched and touched and
smelling things and things being moved around? You know, you think you can explain it, you know, but physical abuse or whatever, sexual abuse. That's when you're like, hey, now it's time to do something about this because that's the extreme.
Yes.
What's next after that? Death?
I mean, it could be.
It would have to be because what else? I mean, you're gonna allow a demon just torture you on a daily basis,
right?
You know, every time you walk by, pulling your hair, kicking you, or waking up with bite marks or bruises.
I mean, eventually
you're gonna get tired of it, right?
Hell yeah, you know? Dog. I would be tired
because
of it
after that, I'm pretty sure it's death.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, that must be the end goal,
right?
Of a demon or a demonic entity,
bring you into their world.
Yeah, man.
You know, another soul lost.
Dog, yeah, because you get possessed.
Yeah,
because it's the form of like I said, the 3 stages is like. I can't remember the 3 stages, man. They say I watched it last night where he was like, it's oppression, and then it's like suppression or something like that, and then it's possession.
Possession,
like, they take over your body, and because they're looking for a vessel,
right?
Man.
Oh, of course.
You know, because like with the Conjuring universe, Annabelle,
right?
You know, they say that demons don't inhabit things,
right?
They inhabit humans.
Humans, yeah.
So like,
but why would she inhabit a doll? Yeah, the doll was made.
It was a conduit.
Like, yeah,
it's just to make it look like it's a little girl ghost and stuff. Because you know, oh man, and that reminds me, this whole conversation we're having reminds me of another case that Ed and Lorraine had covered, dog. You remember Amityville Horror, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that when they did the investigation on the Amityville house, there's a picture. I'll probably put it up right here. Dude, it's a crazy picture of a little boy that they captured peeking out of a doorway, and the eyes are glowing like white.
Oh dang!
And it's a picture they captured from one of the cameras.
Not the one on top of the windows.
No. This one, it's that house,
right?
But it was upstairs in one of the bedrooms.
Okay.
Apparently, one of the little boys that had died there, that was his spirit. But Ed had said, kids can't be ghosts when they're pure and innocent. So when they die, they immediately go with the Father. Right. But so demons imitate kids.
Oh, so it's an imitation
because it makes it easier for you to accept them.
It's easier for them to be accepted with kids when you hear kids like, I have a new friend, you know.
Like imaginary friend?
Come on, man.
That's scary.
I didn't have an imaginary friend. I already told you that. The fuck? You know.
Which in The Conjuring, it's like that, man. He's like, who are you talking to?
When you see a kid talking to himself, who are they really talking to?
It could be a demon, bro.
You know, and that's why it's just crazy to me when people say, well, my daughter has an imaginary friend or my son.
I'm like, hey.
But are you really investigating or are
you figuring out who are they talking to?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Because who could it be? It's not a little boy.
I mean, you hear all the time that they grow out of it, which maybe the demon just never said, you know what, you're not worth it or whatever. I don't know. I mean,
but that is a scary thought, dog.
Isn't
seeing this kid in the room talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Who you talking
sitting
to?
In the corner or whatever.
That's my imaginary friend. You don't see him? He's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, dog.
Yeah. No. No, it's
time to get out. Yeah, time to get out.
Yep.
But yeah, man, this was a dope case, man.
It was.
I wanted to tell it because, like I said, the trailer just dropped for the new Conjuring movie.
I saw you showed it to me, man. September 5th,
and it interested me to. It made me want to research about the case that they're doing.
Right.
And so when I really dug into this case, I realized, like, damn, this is a tough case, dog.
It is tough, man, because 15 years is a long time to put up with the man.
That's a long time, man. And to finally be able to get out after going through all that, I mean, you got to imagine the trauma that stuck with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For years and years.
To me, that'll be a lifetime of looking around the
looking
house
over your shoulder.
Looking over your shoulder, man.
Because, like, man, maybe that thing you saw that you thought was nothing.
It's something.
Might have been something.
You know.
But there is a demonic force out there.
And I do believe in a lot of things, like you said, man. I do was saying, being alone, having alone.
Right, being
people
alone.
People always say, I need some alone time, which is good for you. You know, it's time to think. But when you're alone and depressed and you're fearful and now your mind is going 100 to nothing or whatever, 0 to 100, and evil thoughts.
Right.
You know, is that how serial killers come around?
Man, I don't think so, man. I think that starts off when they're kids, man. And they say most serial killers start off by killing animals. You know what I mean?
They're starting fires and stuff like that. Yeah.
You know, but it's like when you're being. But that's the thing, I see what you're saying, but that's why I strongly urge people to dive into mental health and learn how to strengthen your own mind, man. Because I know it's hard, but I feel like that's a lot of today's problems with people, man. We have a hard time being by ourselves in your own thoughts.
Well, not anymore. I think back then. Well, I don't know, nephew.
No,
because
I think now,
back then in the 70s was a family was more together.
Well, but see, that's why I'm saying it's harder now because now you don't. You know, Charleston White was, he's wild, but
right.
He does have some good things to say, and I guess we can close off on this segment because this is a good segment.
Right.
I think today's family, the family traditions are being lost,
Oh, most definitely.
You know, from when you were growing up, like back in the 70s, 80s, them times, a family ate dinner at the table.
At the table, period.
Not only does that give you a chance to spend time and bond as a family,
right.
But as the parent, that gives you a chance to look at your kids. All right, what y'all got going on?
Right.
Your eyes look a little low. You smoking that weed?
Right.
You drink. You smell like a little alcohol. You drinking? That's. It gives you time to examine your family. What's going on with y'all? Like
yourself too,
Yeah, and your kids get to, I think that's what's missing. Now you got. Everybody's on their phones. Everybody's watching something
at a different time.
Everybody takes a plate, go to the room, to the living room, to the back
bedroom,
then. You see houses now don't have dining rooms no more. Sometimes
I know.
Back then there was always one room dedicated to a dining table.
Yeah,
that's why
when I was growing up, my grandparents, we were there every Sunday.
Exactly,
your mom, me, my brothers, my dad's brothers and sisters, and their kids, all my cousins. We grew up together every Sunday. That was Sunday after church. It wasn't like, well, we're going to go visit. No. Sundays is family.
Yep, we get together and eat together as a family. Yep. And I think we're losing that.
We've lost a lot of traditions.
Yeah, we're losing the traditions. And it's not a good thing because you got to think, I think more and more families are being isolated. And now people are starting to grow up. We don't know our family. We don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is one thing to be like, well, our family is hateful or whatever. But like I was saying, all that to say, the fact that we're losing the old ways is, I think that's why it's harder now because we don't have the support of family no more.
Right.
Now it's every man for himself.
Right.
So
and all this boils down to where, like I said last time, Paul Harvey, if I were the devil.
Yeah.
Dude, that is so true. What everything that he said is it came to pass,
Right.
And he has taken over,
Yeah.
With our phones, with our computers.
It's crazy, how a phone can be such a help to you and also such a hindrance. Because you got to think, man, we have so many tools at our fingertips.
Yeah.
and we use it for distraction.
Right.
A lot of times, bro, I get on social media and I have no business being on it.
Bro, sometimes I'm there 3 hours.
Yeah, for no reason, dog. And I ain't got nothing out of it.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? And it's cool, but you know how I feel about social media, man.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really post my family no more or nothing like that, because, you know, Kevin Gates, the rapper, said one time, he said, man, social media is people highlight reels.
Right.
It's just when they're doing good.
Yeah.
Look at me. Oh, just gotta do this, gotta do that. Oh, man, I don't care about that.
Right.
You know, for me, I don't need validation from people.
Right, of course not.
And that's what social media does for us, man. It makes us crave attention.
Right.
Crave validation from people that we don't even know. You know what I mean? And of course, you know, like this. Some could say, well, then why are y'all doing this podcast?
Right.
I mean, it's not more for validation for us. No. It's just, this is something I enjoy doing,
right.
Man.
We're having a conversation like we always do, but now we're like inviting people in to see what we're talking about.
To see if people,
I mean, you and I have different theories, a lot of same, a lot of different, but there's all our followers who may think different, and they may know something we don't know.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Or be like Anna, she's like, never thought about that until y'all brought it up, you know.
Right, you know. And so it's like, now we don't crave attention or validation.
No, we don't.
But we do enjoy community and conversation.
Right.
And so I think that's what we do this for, you know.
And that's what keeps you and I as close as we are. You know?
Man. The fact that we can have conversations like this and it's just something we did already. Right. So it only made sense for us to keep doing this.
Yeah, of course.
I think we had a good wrapping point up. Yep. If you don't have anything else, man.
I appreciate y'all following us.
Man, I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for all the likes and comments, follows, man. We really do appreciate it. We got some big plans coming up pretty soon. I know that this isn't the plateau that we reached. There's a lot more that we want to do.
And we're working on it, man. It's just I'm not working right now with my knee. Life is not where we want to be.
Well, like I always tell people, life is lifing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's lifing for everybody.
Right.
And, you know, we got a lot of plans, but that's the good thing, though. I like that we have goals that we want to reach.
Right, almost definite.
You know what I mean?
And we can't set a goal from here to tomorrow. You know,
yeah.
Goals take time.
Man, if there's one thing I can say before we cut out of here is, man, wake up every day and set you some goals, man, that you want to accomplish. Yeah. It'll help you maintain your life a little bit better. And it'll give you something to strive for every day, that when you get home and you lay in bed at night, you're like, man, I accomplished this and this.
Right.
It makes
when you lay down and you can say, hey, today was a good day.
Today was a good day. I did everything I wanted to do.
You know, because there's times at work, I leave work and I'm like, did I really do the best I could today? Right. And sometimes I'm like, I didn't. I half-assed it or whatever. Those are the days that you're like, hey, you know what? Tomorrow's got to be better. Yeah, tomorrow's got to be better, man. And that's a good positive way to think about it. Set yourself a couple goals for the day, and man, when you accomplish them, even if they're small, man, drink 3 cups of water today, more than I did yesterday, or whatever it is, man. Yeah. But that's helped me because that's what I've been doing little by little. Set little goals. I'm gonna get this done, and if I get it done, fantastic. I feel great. But if I don't, I'm like, man, tomorrow's a different day.
Tomorrow's a better day. Yeah. Don't beat yourself up when you don't do what you have set out to do. Right. You know, like you said, how you get in your head and stuff. I think a lot of people's problems with mental health is that you stack things up too much on your brain when you got to start letting stuff go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just
letting them go.
Take a breath. Let it go, man. Oh, well, I didn't do good today. It's okay. There's always tomorrow. Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. But, man, Unc, I had fun today. Me too. Today was a great day, man. Me too. And thank y'all for joining us for another exciting episode of Late Night Conversations with Unc and Nephew. And until next week. Peace.